Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have Oracle Cloud HCM. Last week, we reviewed SAP SuccessFactors. Andy, I believe you missed that one. So we'll be doing some recapping where they shine and how this particular product differ from that. So this is all part of the HCM category, which is slightly newer for this year.
Looking forward to it.
Of course. So before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I'll start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. On that note, Andy, can I ask you to introduce yourself next?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sam. I always enjoy participating with you.
Of course.
My name is Andy Pratico. I've been involved in ERP software with manufacturers all my life, which is a long time. Where I worked all over North America, and I also teach companies on how to uncover the truth about ERP systems before they buy. So thank you so much, Sam.
Of course. Thank you so much, Andy, for being here. And today, Dave and Srasta, they are not going to be here. Most likely, they'll come back next week. So, Andy, I am going to start with a quick briefing. But if you are in the audience, and if you could mention your location where you are joining from, and if you're listening, if you relate with any of the stories, or if you have any sort of examples or questions, we typically would cover them during the show. So post them in the comments section. If we miss those questions, then we'll make sure that you receive those answers after the show. So, Andy, I'm going to start with quick recap of what we had done last week. You would need a little understanding of the whole HCM category. And
Okay.
in your space, I don't know how much you have seen the real HCM. So this is human capital management. From your reference, this is going to be Info WMFM is probably the product. Most of the companies that are going to be smaller, they probably don't need best of breed HCM product, just because they are going to be smaller. They don't necessarily have the processes. They probably would have a very small SaaS software that is going to do the function of HCM. Obviously, it's not going to be complete. It's not going to have all of those detailed feature sets that these products are going to have. And for the most part, they are going to be on the payroll software. In general, Andy, the consumption of HCM software is limited in product-centric organizations. When you look at manufacturing, distribution, retail, they don't necessarily utilize a real HCM product unless you are going to be an enterprise or slightly larger company. When you are going to have a lot of employees, then only these products are going to be relevant. For the most part, the HCM category is going to be relevant for slightly more people-centric organizations, and that is going to be your media, tech, banks, insurance, all of public sector, not-for-profit. These are some of the industries that are going to use a lot more HCM in general. Now, architecturally speaking, Andy, for your reference, there are going to be some layers, how you sort of distinguish between your ERP and HCM. And I'm actually going to bring the slide so that we can do the briefing here. So overall, when you look at the positioning of HCM versus your ERP, HCM, the kind of layers that you are going to have, the kind of localization, taxation you are going to have, that is all driven by your labor laws. ERP layers are driven by slightly more financial laws. So it's going to have very different layers, and that's why they sort of don't overlap. A lot of smaller companies are going to feel that how come the ERP systems don't have this functionality that might be there in any HCM software. Some smaller ERP systems are probably going to contain some of these feature sets, but generally it's not a good fit. If you are going to be a good fit for HCM product, then you need to probably buy a HCM product Some ERP suites are going to integrate a best of breed product. For example, Oracle HCM is one, SAP SuccessFactors that we reviewed last week is another one, Info WFM is through Infor. NetSuite is going to have something, your Sage is going to have something, depending upon the kind of industry that they might be targeting. Not everybody has a best of breed HCM product as part of their suite. Some are going to have that. So I guess the compliance is probably one of the layers. The data set is going to be another layer that is generally relevant in distinguishing between your ERP as well as your ACM layer. So here, when looking at your Oracle Cloud HCM, this is going to be very similar to your SuccessFactors product. There are going to be some differences, but for the most part, the companies that are going to be on Oracle ERP are probably going to use this. The companies that are going to be on SAP S/4HANA, they are probably going to use your SAP SuccessFactors. So that's how the line generally is. Each of the companies have the kind of industries that they are really good at, and generally they target those unless they are overstretching their capabilities. So in general, Oracle is very prevalent in slightly more service-centric spaces. That's why their products are going to be, or data model are going to be very, very, very relevant to those service-centric spaces. So here, overall positioning is going to be very similar to your SuccessFactors product. But again, the integration, as we had mentioned in the last session as well, that the integration or the integration workflows that are going to be relevant in the HCM space are not going to be as busy, are not going to be as involved as you are going to see with scenarios such as your POS or e-commerce. They are going to be slightly more transactionally busy, is the term that I use when I define the integration. Here, in some industries, you are going to have slightly thicker workflows between your ACM and ERP when your skill set is being used as input for your production scheduling. That's when you are going to require a lot of thickness, or you are going to get slightly more union centric workflows. In those cases, you have to have these processes intertwined, and in those cases you are going to find that HCM sort of interlocked with your ERP processes. And those industries are going to be, or the product sets are going to be, for example, Plex for automotive utilizes a lot of HCM processes that are going to be interlocked with your ERP processes. So that integration becomes very thick. But for the most part, when you look at Oracle SAP centric workflows, they are going to be slightly more disconnected, I would say, overall from the process interlocking perspective. Even if you're simply going to post your GL entries to your ERP from your ACM, you are probably going to be okay, just because your the scheduling, the production, the core operational processes, they don't necessarily require ACM input. But again, each industry is different, each micro industry is different. So again, analyze your business processes, how your processes are laid out, then only you would know which product is going to be the right fit for you. So in this particular case, Oracle HCM, again, very, very, very similar capabilities overall from the enterprise perspective. The comparable here are going to be SAP SuccessFactors and Workday. They compete head to head. Okay.
Right. I was going to say probably Workday is their direct competitor, I would guess.
Workday, but Workday is not going to be as complete. I would say, depending upon which industry and which lenses you are looking at, I would say. So Workday is going to be far stronger in the ACM processes. So if you do ACM to ACM comparison, Oracle and Workday are going to be fairly similar. SAP SuccessFactors is slightly different. It does better in a slightly more product-centric industries, just because the way the data model is designed, the kind of industries that they target, they are going to be slightly superior there. But Oracle is very, very, very strong in service-centric industries. And in fact, I mean, if you look at how and where Workday started, I mean, these are all PeopleSoft people. Those are the guys Workday started, right? So their target industries are very similar as well. So if you draw the comparison between the product set, Salesforce, Workday, Oracle, they all are targeting very, very, very similar industries, and that is going to be your financial services, insurance, media, tech, not-for-profit, public sector. Those are the industries that these companies target very, very well, and they all are going to require HCM product because they all are very people-centric, people-driven. People is the competitive advantage for those companies. Any other comments, Andy, before I...
No, that's looking forward to it. Go for it.
Perfect. So some more comments here. So overall, from the HCM bucket perspective, Andy, there are many different buckets that are going to be as part of your HCM suite, just like your SNOP or WMS, TMS, ERP that we have reviewed so far.
What does F&B stand for?
Food and beverage.
Oh, food. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Food and beverage.
So process centric.
So Oracle has a little bit of presence, I would say, in the process-centric space. The reason for that is because JD Edwards was very popular in process, pharma spaces. They did really well in those spaces. So that's why Oracle Cloud ERP is very strong in those spaces as well. They are not going to be as strong in the discrete. They are also strong in the retail-centric spaces, just because the retail also has very different processes. So again, there are always layers with these things, I guess. I don't know how to explain. So here, overall from the suite perspective, Andy, the layers that you are going to have as part of your HCM suite are going to be your benefits management, okay, compensation, learning, recruiting, retention, succession management. Okay, so all of those capability. Yeah, exactly. So that is going to be really HR workflow. When you are going to have, let's say, 20 people in your HR team, that's probably a right time when you probably would need something like this, or 20 or 100 or 200 people in HR itself, because once you get to that level, then your processes are going to be very different. When you are dealing with, let's say, 100 people manufacturing shop or 100 people retail shop, they are probably not going to have any HR person internally. They are probably going to outsource everything to an outsourced HR firm. So for those companies, that's probably not the right fit. Background, I guess, Oracle also acquired a product called Telio, and that's how they got these capabilities in 2012. This is a very similar timeline as your SAP SuccessFactors. That's when these companies started growing in their capabilities, and they wanted to attack these best of breed spaces. And that's how the ERP systems became really big overall in their suite. So very, very, very similar timeline. The only difference is Telio was the outdated technology. Workday started because Workday wanted to attack Telio. So Oracle, sort of, kind of, I don't know if I want to call this miss the bus, but obviously Workday has a lot of market share overall in the market at this point of time. When Oracle actually bought a really outdated technology, which is Telio. Similar timings as SuccessFactors that I have already covered. So overall, from the ERP competition perspective, you are looking at InfoWFM, you are looking at SAP SuccessFactors as well. Those are going to be the competing technologies from the ERP perspective. Sage is probably going to be another one. They also have the HCM product as part of their portfolio. NetSuite also likes to claim that they have, but I don't know how deep their capabilities are. The real competitors are going to be Workday. You are going to have products such as your Cornerstone, but again, these products are also very different in their capabilities. Some are going to be really strong in learning, some are going to be strong in operational transactions. So depending upon what their sweet spot is, each product is going to have some sort of strength. And again, if you're choosing for their strength, then you'll be successful. Otherwise, you are probably going to struggle. Then UKG, ADP is really strong in the payroll side of things. Now they have their HCM product as well, but that is not going to be as strong as some of these products. The collaborators, I think there's a problem here. I don't think these are the right collaborators for Oracle. These were the collaborators for SAP. So in their case, they are going to have different collaborator. I don't know if they have a comparable of Qualtrics in their portfolio, so they are not going to have the same workflow automation capabilities that your ServiceNow like technologies can do. In this case, SAP can do that as well, just because they have that survey technology. Oracle has a tool called Eloqua, but that is going to be more for the marketing automation. They have very similar workflows, but that is probably not going to be used for your NPS survey, for your employee experience surveys, and that's where Qualtrics is really strong. So they sort of bundle Qualtrics as part of that, but I don't know if Oracle is going to have the similar capabilities.
What do you mean by collaborators?
So collaborators, when I say, meaning either the products are being used to flavor the workflows. So you are going to have the core capabilities, and then you are going to have a bunch of products that are sort of interlocked with their processes. So if you look at SAP SuccessFactors, so when you are doing, let's say, the survey, or when you are doing the journey analysis, as part of your journey analysis, you have to send out a lot of different forms, gather data, analyze that. So how do you do that? There are two possibilities. Number one, either you are going to have these workflows built as part of your product. Okay, so Oracle HCM in general was very fluid product. In some cases, that is going to be very easy to do it in the product itself, but generally the enterprise software products are very, very, very rigid, right? So for example, if you did that with SAP, it's probably going to be really hard, because SAP is known for very rigid data model, because they are trying to control your inputs, and that's why they are really strong. So for that, when you are going to look at ServiceNow centric workflows or Monday.com centric workflows, they are going to be really, really hard, and that's why they interlock these processes with Qualtrics. But I think the Oracle HCM is going to have their proprietary processes they can support, but they are not going to be as fluid as your Qualtrics. Is it making sense, Andy?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Of course. And obviously, Oracle is going to have their own sort of the analytics layer, the FP&A layer. That's where and again, these collaborators are not right. There's a problem on the slide itself, so don't pay attention to this. The collaborator here would be whatever is as part of your Oracle portfolio. Overall, from the industry perspective, Oracle has always been very strong in public sector, pharma, F&B, professional services, healthcare, telco, media. Those are the industries that they target. So their processes are going to be from their frame of reference. So if you're looking for HCM product, if you are in these industries, then this could be a great fit. And obviously, it is going to be part of the Oracle Cloud ERP suite. So when you are buying Oracle Cloud ERP, you are also getting the HCM product as part of the bundle, just like your SAP S/4HANA, even though SAP SuccessFactors is a completely separate product, but that is sold as part of the suite. That is something a lot of people don't necessarily understand. Okay, so some more comments. So this is coming from one of their marketing materials. So here they are saying Cloud HCM is a complete cloud solution that connects every human resource process. So number one thing, obviously, this is positioned to be cloud native, and yes, it is cloud native. But I mean, again, there are going to be bits and pieces that are probably not going to be as cloud friendly or as cloud native, because they are using underlying legacy technologies such as your Teleo. So you are going to get workflows. I don't know how much they have been re-architected or rewritten. So that's where the problem is going to be. Workday was designed for your cloud native interfaces. So that's where people love Workday for that, because it's going to be super cloud native. It's going to be very mobile friendly. But this is also cloud native, but there might be patches where it might not be as cloud friendly as cloud native. The other layers that you are going to see is GDPR. Most likely, SAP SuccessFactors is going to be really strong with the GDPR processes as well. Most of the enterprise products, if they are selling in the Europe market, or they touch those markets in any capacity, then they need to have these, especially in the HCM space. This is slightly more critical. The reason for that is because you are capturing very employee-centric data, and that's where the confidentiality is going to be extremely different with ACM as well. With ERP, you don't necessarily store anybody's personal information, so the confidential layers are not going to be as relevant. But here, GDPR matters. So the other things that you're going to notice with ACM product is they are going to be slightly more localized, because for the most part, they will have to support, let's say, the payroll process of 50 countries or 100 countries. So you are going to see a lot more countries that are going to be supported. But for the most part, even the ACM products, they rely on an external payroll product for the actual payroll function, just because it's very, very, very hard to build these capabilities. So even though in the marketing material, either SAP SuccessFactors or Oracle Cloud HCM, they are going to claim that they are localized and globalized in 50 countries, but you might end up using payroll of ADP or the specialized payroll provider, because there is a possibility that they might be short, or they might rely on partner add-ons, which might not be as well developed as you are going to have the experience that you are going to have with tools such as your ADP. So again, ACM security is very, very unique and different. So pay attention to that. It's not the same layer that you are going to see with your ERP layer. So again, ACM and ERP, these two are two completely different world in general. Here they are saying Oracle Advanced ACM Controls, part of Oracle Cloud HCM, automates data analysis and exception workflows needed to satisfy data privacy. So again, they are talking about GDPR, insider threats, and I don't know how much controls they are going to have with respect to their payroll fraud, but that's a serious issue in the enterprises when you are going to have many different departments, many different data silos. This is going to be a real problem. So the enterprise problems are very different. The kind of controls that they are going to have, if you are going to be simple, SMB shop, these controls will feel overwhelming a little bit, just because you don't have that problem. Then they are talking about graph-based analyses, continuously monitor HCM security configuration and transactions, can leverage a pre-built library of rule template or build their own in a visual workbench. Auditors can rely. So audit is a very interesting function as well. Audit becomes very common when you are going to be really large organization, and the ACM audit is going to be very different. HR audit is going to be very different than your ERP audit. So this is slightly different, and that's where you would require workflows for your auditors as well. Very enterprise grade problem. This is probably not going to be relevant for a lot of SMBs. Any comments, Andy?
No.
Okay. Then we have a little comment here, ghost employees. And that could be a very interesting concept, Andy. This one right here, eliminate ghost employees.
What does that mean, do you think?
It's all process loopholes. So somebody created some employee, that employee left, and they have sort of rerouted the salary to their account.
Obsolete data, in other words.
Yeah. So the guy who has already left the company still exists in the system. They are still being paid. Somebody else is getting paid. So you have these crazy scenarios. Again, very different problems at the enterprise level. Duplicate user records, unauthorized salary and compensation changes, and sometimes these problems are not going to be at the macro level. And when I say macro, what that means is that is going to be overall from the salary perspective, versus let's say if you have simple vacation or benefits, even with those, the losses could be substantial. Even if you have these ghost processes there as well, or duplicate records, and you are simply overpaying them, even if it is going to be non-monetary compensation. Okay, I don't have any other comments. Andy, if you don't have anything else, I'll keep moving. Okay, so here this is more drilling into that audit piece. So audit is very, very, very critical. They are talking about visual algorithm workbench, and some of these capabilities that we didn't notice with SAP SuccessFactors. I'm pretty sure they have these things as well, because this is going to be very, very, very common with all of those workloads and the enterprises. They would probably require these capabilities. Comprehensive data graph, perform deep ad hoc analyses of Oracle Cloud ERP, ACM, and CX.
And what does CX mean?
Customer experience.
Oh,
But
I see. Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, and I guess so. They have these three buckets, right? And they are sort of interlocked, I would say, from the integration perspective, and that's why they are talking about these three layers. Oracle is really strong in those three. So CX is going to be your marketing cloud, sales cloud, CRM, CPQ, all of those layers. ACM, they were always strong, and then you have the core ERP layer as well. But they are not going to have the other layers that other companies are going to have. So here they have four different pillars in this diagram. You have ACM, you have ERP, you have SCM, and CX, and that's how they sort of segment all of their cloud buckets. And then you are going to have the Oracle autonomous data warehouse, which is what they really want to sell, because that's their bread and butter. Oracle Analytics Cloud as well is their bread and butter. And then you have the Oracle Fusion HCM analytics, you have ERP analytics, you have SCM analytics, and then you have CX analytics. So all of those buckets are completely separate. They are bucketed in different buckets. We saw this with your SAP as well, that the analytics for HR is going to be very different from what you are going to need at the enterprise level.
What size of a company would this be targeting? Were you thinking over 250 million?
So for the most part, I mean, this is going to be slightly more relevant for companies that are going to be similar to us, professional services companies. So when you are going to have 1,000 employees, white collar workers, they require a lot more HR processes in general, because the HR processes are going to be far thicker in general, from the workflow perspective, from the way you are going to be computing your commission. Their the way you are going to be structuring their contract is going to be very different as well, right, Andy? I mean, I'm pretty sure you have seen things such as your partners. Everybody's partner in the company, right? And when you are going to complicate your legal structure in bringing all of those partners, then you have to have very strong HR processes as well. Yeah. For manufacturing, I mean, if you are going to have just the blue collar workers, for the most part, yes, they are going to have different set of HR processes. And that's why we like to draw the distinction between the ACM products that are really designed for your blue collar workers. They are very different because they go through union flows, which are not necessarily relevant in your white collar spaces.
Right.
Again, these two are two different spaces, two completely different products. Manage exceptions to closure. And again, this is going to be a very internal process. Each exception to access or transaction policies is assigned to an investigator. So these are, audit-centric issues. They are compliance-centric issues that you are trying to debug because nobody has answers for those. You have become so big that you require a tool to be able to analyze that. So that's what is happening. I don't know how successful that is going to be, but when you are going to be enterprise grade, then you probably need this. Supervised learning, and learning could be very serious as well, and they could have very complicated workflows depending upon how much penalty you are getting, how much financial penalty you are getting because of learning. Sometimes your customers are going to mandate the learning, and if you have customer driven processes, then your workflows are going to be very different than your internal workflows. If you look at regulated spaces such as your medical device, pharma, in that you are going to see a lot more trends where the customers are saying, if the employee does not have this certification, they are not supposed to touch the production process. And if you have that, then you have that tight integration between your ERP process and ACM process. So it becomes very, 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 very tricky to manage all of this. But again, depending upon the micro industry, how your processes are laid out, in some cases, this might be relevant. But supervised learning is a very learning centric function that is part of your HR bucket. And that's why they have all of these capabilities. secure collaboration with auditors, and again, this is a very similar workflow as you are going to get audit in your financial space, right? So so this is a very similar workflow, and here the financial penalties are even more because labor laws are far stricter than your financial laws. And sometimes even for smaller companies, the labor laws are far stricter, and that's why the HCM products, they go through far more scrutiny in general than your ERP processes.
So this tool gives access to or secure collaboration, as says, to their auditors.
Yeah, so you are going to see these capabilities. For example, let's say if you look at products such as your Sage Intacct, they had these workflows built up, even though that's a very SMB centric product. Now, if you look at operationally rich product, they are not going to have these workflows because they don't have audit problem. So here, Andy, the audit is very different. Okay, here you are looking at HR audit because the financial companies, they don't necessarily understand HR laws. They are not certified in those. So HR companies are very different. The companies that are going to be performing audit here. So here you are sending the kind of data that they are going to be needing. And in HCM, you are actually working with a lot of different companies. For example, let's say if you go to insurance companies, okay, with insurance companies, you are going to see workflows where you are literally getting this payroll data from I don't know how many different entries. Sometimes the city is going to supply some of that data, and then you have to publish it to city as well because they are doing a lot of payroll benchmarking. So you have those use cases in your insurance industries, you have that in your not-for-profit public sector. So there's a lot of collaboration happening between different parties, again, because they are trying to comply with the labor laws, and they go through very different scrutiny workflow and processes, and that drives the integration as well. Okay, Andy, does that answer your question? Do you have any more follow-ups? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So then you have position management, and which is very interesting capability as well. So here we are talking about headcounts and budgets are managed by preventing workers from being placed in a position that does not have approved headcount. We also provide seamless synchronization of positions and assignments to ensure data integrity. Now, positions and assignments. Now, that's very interesting as well. And I don't know who is basically accessing these things. I don't know why you would require, let's say, the assignments as part of your operational workflows, either inside SCM or ERP, but there might be certain industries in which you might need that. Position, you probably would require that. Assignment, sometimes that could be mandated by customers, and that's why they are sending that data. So that integration is very interlocked, intertwined, embedded. So again, depending upon the industry. Oracle Cloud HCM uniquely synchronizes the position hierarchy, ensuring that the supervisor hierarchy is never broken and line managers are automatically maintained. And the reason why you need that hierarchy is when you are doing the scheduling, when you are doing, let's say, if you have data inputs coming from your ERP, SCM, then you would require that hierarchy. The HR hierarchy, that might not be one-to-one with how your production roles are maintained, but you need to know how to sort of report back to your HR system if there are going to be any inputs that you are going to be needing. So that linking or alignment is probably going to be a need. Okay, and if you don't have any other comments, I'll keep going here. Labor relations, and generally when you look at labor relations, even products such as SAP SuccessFactors, they are probably going to require an add-on because labor relations are very industry specific. They are going to be very union specific. So again, generalized labor relations could be very difficult as well. So here they are talking about managing complex labor rules across an organization is supported with collective agreements, and that's a rocket science in itself, I guess. The way these collective, and they could be all over the place because there are no rules with collective agreements. It's all part of your negotiation. So depending upon how your compensation, referral or whatever you might be agreeing with your union workers, they are going to be far more relevant in your union-centric spaces, but you might have those in other industries as well. Seniority processing rules, and again, very different. These are all driven by your labor laws. By the way, they are always changing far more than your financial laws. Financial laws, they don't change as much, but labor laws always. So that's another problem. These rules are managed centrally in HR and leveraged throughout other ACM processes to ensure accuracy in the application of the rules. Performing required rate increases based on seniority can be done seamlessly using automatic grade step progression. So again, they have a little algo there, and they are trying to do a lot of different things, but very interesting piece of functionality. The HR help desk is very unique as well. We have seen those use cases with your ServiceNow, but ServiceNow is probably going to be a technical product. So a lot of companies are going to use ServiceNow for the actual help desk centric functionality. They are going to do some more workflow centric capabilities, because the underlying ERP systems were not necessarily designed for those fluid workflows, and that's why they have to use another tool. But this is going to be a need for larger organization. Your HR help desk is going to be very different from your IT help desk. But here also you are going to have cases SLA, so very similar process as your either customer service or IT help desk, but this is going to be slightly more internal. Core HR security for case management. And again, in HR, security matters a lot more, just because you are dealing with people's salary, people's emotions, people's data. That is far more sensitive than anything else.
And politics.
And politics. Exactly. Internal as well as external, ND.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so minimized implementation cost, and again, that's all sales pitch. There's not much there in that line, so we'll skip that.
Okay, so it sounds like it's got a pretty good FAQ built in.
Yeah, where do you see that?
Integrated intuitive knowledge base enabling employees.
That's more than FAQ, I would say. So knowledge base is going to be very similar to what you have seen with knowledge base for customer service inside your Infor ERP systems, Andy.
Yeah.
So they're basically, and now with AI, I think it's going to be far more powerful, because traditionally it was very passive. The way your knowledge base was, you were simply searching in a dummy database. It wasn't very intelligent. But now with AI, I think the whole your knowledge base is going to be far more handy. People will be able to find far more reliable answers. It's not going to be as frustrating experience as you have with support right now, as of today at least. Okay, so this is very different. This knowledge base is going to be more in terms of the HR laws, and they are very complex. And even if you're going to have your internal HR department, they are not going to be worse on 5,000 counties and their laws, and they are changing on a daily basis, and states and provinces and countries. It's a nightmare. Okay, so you probably require HR consulting firms, just the way, for example, let's say, Andy, if you are going to be in your sales tax function, generally most companies simply go with Avalara or Vertex. The reason why they go with them is because there's no way anybody can keep up with those sales taxes, because they are always changing. But HR laws are changing far more, so this is far more difficult in general for any company.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have anything else here. I'll keep moving. The whole case management function is very interesting in general in this particular case, but it's very, very, very similar overall in function, the way your IT help desk or your customer service desk is going to be. It's a very similar function, but different knowledge base, different processes, different users and customers, I would say, and interactions and journey as well. I don't see anything else that I want to hit on this, Andy, unless you have any other comments, questions.
No.
Yeah. All right, so I'll keep moving on the next one. So these are different countries that they have highlighted for their payroll. For the most part, in my mind, this is very, very, very lean. SAP SuccessFactors is probably going to be localized in a lot of different countries, but for the most part, even if you go to Oracle, they are going to say, hey, you know what, we don't do payroll. If you want payroll in many countries, then you are better off going to a provider that does payroll, and that's where your ADPs of the world are going to be handy. So for the most part, HCM is not necessarily payroll, even though they might have these capabilities, but they are going to be super limited in general. Now, if you look at the trends here, so overall the countries that are going to be supported here, that's where Oracle is going to be really strong. In general, that's why they have developed these capabilities for those countries. For other countries, they are going to rely on add-ons. So here, obviously, you're going to see all of those developed countries, US, Canada, UK, that generally everybody targets, unless you are going to be a product from Australia or South Africa, then it's a different case. But for the most part, for these 3 or 4 countries, everybody is going to have capabilities. But what is interesting on this slide is you are going to find countries that are going to be deeply penetrated in the Middle East. And you have a lot more countries in the Middle East that they are trying to target, because Oracle is very, very, very strong in oil and gas and energy, utility, all of that, and Middle East is very strong there. And Middle East in general has very strong exposure of Oracle. They use Oracle a lot more in general, and that's why you have a lot more exposure here of the Middle East. If you look at SAP, they are going to be far more prevalent in Europe. They are going to be far more prevalent in South America. So again, based on this as well, you can sort of find out where they are going to be really strong and which industries they are targeting. Okay, so some more comments here. So performance management, data sheet. So this is going to be the performance management, which is one more pillar of your HCM processes. So here we are talking about configurable process flows and content to match your business needs. Anytime feedback allows you to give recognition. So this is all the whole feedback management process that could be very thick as well. Overall, from the workflow, from the process perspective, you need to have records of those, because if you are going to fire somebody, you have to go through compliance, and as part of the compliance requirement, you have to maintain the documentation. So this is all very regulated in general, and that's why when you are going to have 500, 1,000 employees, your HR director most likely is going to use something like this. Okay, time and labor that we have had touched in the last session as well. That time and labor is very interesting. This is going to be overall time and labor management as compared to the time and expense process that you are going to see with your ERP. This is the overarching. This is not necessarily just limited to your job costing. This is going to be far more. Typically, when you look at the punch outs, etc., you are going to see those integrated as part of your HCM workflow. Generally, whatever happens here in this world, that is not going to be one-to-one with your ERP. Sometimes that could be the case, but not always. So this is a very different piece of functionality in general, even though they both read time and expense and time and labor reporting. I don't have anything else here. Let's see. So some comments here. Let's touch on those. So Anders is saying, reunions. Does this solution have a portal to allow a third party, such as a union representative, access to the data to ensure compliance with labor rules? So to that question, most of the enterprise software categories, they are going to have a lot of different collaborators. So you are not only going to have portal, and those portals serve very different purpose. In this particular case, we don't have data to comment whether they are going to have any sort of portal or not, but that is probably going to be there with most HCM products. But then you are also going to have very integration workflows where you are sending feed, receiving feed, integrating that. So again, very, very, very different integration compared to your CRM, compared to your ERP. Very different piece of functionality. These portals are going to be very different as well. You are probably going to have a million portals, I guess, depending upon the need, depending upon the organization. But great comment. Thank you so much, Anders.
This it mentions in the right about time clock capabilities. Do you know if this accommodates overtime and double time and a half and such?
So again, this is going to be more from the HR perspective.
Yeah,
So
not too much the costing. Yeah.
so there are two ways of looking at overtime. So number one aspect is, are you billing overtime to your customers, or are you paying overtime to your employees? That may not always be one to one. Even though you might be receiving overtime, not every company is going to pay. So
Right.
generally, so they are going to be disconnected. So this is more of the HR perspective, where you are maintaining your punch outs. Okay, when your employee is coming, when they are leaving, when they are going to washroom, etc. But that is not one to one with your job costing. That time and expense reporting is very different. This is going to be more from the HR compliance perspective in terms of whatever labor laws that you have to follow. Yeah, but I mean, Andy, depending upon the enterprise product, in this particular case, yes, you are going to have those capabilities, but the perspective and the lens is going to be very different. Okay, so I'll keep moving to the next one. So here, this is coming from a case study. So here in this particular case, this is the healthcare organization, and in general, Oracle is very strong. Now they have acquired a product, Cerner, I believe, that is the EHR product. So now they have the complete stack, sort of for the healthcare organization. In general, healthcare organizations are also going to be not-for-profit, so they go through the same processes that your not-for-profit companies are going to have. Plus they have the complications of your healthcare as well. They are going to have all of those complications, such as your endowment, the fund reporting, etc., the grants. All of those complications are going to be there. So here in this particular case, this organization operates 23 acute care hospitals, many of which are in rural areas in the western US, and no other local healthcare providers are probably going to be there. And they are saying doubled its size to 30,000 employees. That is the magnitude that we are talking here. 23 hospitals, 250 clinics. Okay, that's the kind of enterprise, and that's where products such as this is relevant. If you are going to have 200 employees, you probably don't need. The technology it acquired forced it to run like a collection of clinics rather than a unified healthcare system. Okay, you might need to read between the lines, because when they say it's a collection of clinics, they are talking about HR perspective. They probably have the Oracle ERP as well. That's why they are saying collection of clinics. Depending upon how integrated their processes are going to be, from the financial perspective, from the operational plus HR, these are very different integration in general. So here the perspective is HCM. Different ways to perform basic finance and human resource. So in this particular case, they acquired both, and that is going to be the trend that you are going to see, that whoever is going to be on Oracle Cloud ERP, most likely they are probably going to go with your Oracle HCM as well. But you might see scenarios such as your Oracle Cloud ERP plus your Workday. That is very common. But if you have Oracle Cloud ERP and you have SuccessFactors, that's probably a disaster. You don't want to have that. So here they are talking about they have complete stack from Oracle, which is not a bad idea in general, not only to create one standard operating model across the company, but also to help it integrate new acquisitions much faster. The first key benefit came from standardizing process across the organization. So instead of dozens of ways to book a payment or pay an employee, there is one standard operating model. And again, you have to streamline that. If you are going to have all of these acquisitions, they are going to do crazy things. So if you don't have your processes streamlined, nothing is going to work. But at least this is going to be one framework that you are going to get from the tool perspective. They are talking about when a company changes a process, it can quickly implement it across the organization. Now that may sound easy on paper, depending upon how streamlined your processes are before you implemented this tool, but that can definitely be slightly easier. They are touching on some of the things such as your the payment for nurses goes through very different process, because the nurses are going to be unionized as well. In fact, doctors probably are going to be part of union as well, in my mind. So they are probably going to go through very different, collective agreements, etc. And that's why the collective agreements that you are going to see with Oracle are going to be very different, because in healthcare, they are very, very, very different agreements. So here they are talking about using Oracle Cloud ERP. The team revised descriptions of 395,000 inventory items, from surgical tools to your stethoscopes, and to replenish them more accurately. So again, the kind of inventory that you're going to have from the healthcare perspective, that's very, very, very different. The kind of codings that it is going to require is very different from other industries. So again, Oracle, Sage, they do really well in healthcare. Not sure if other ERP vendors are going to be as prevalent in those spaces.
QAD does all right in those spaces, don't
they do not in healthcare, I would say. So the way,
no, I was thinking pharma.
Exactly. So there is a distinction between your healthcare and life sciences, depending upon how you read it, right? Some people might bucket pharma and medical device as part of your healthcare, but life sciences is, in my mind at least, the bucket between your pharma, med device, your labs, and then you have your the hospitals. That's a very different business. Okay, so this is a consulting firm, Fujitsu, and in this particular case, they are saying they have utilized, and you need to read between the lines here as well. And sometimes these guys are going to be resellers of Oracle, and they might have implemented Oracle because of that. That may not be the best case to analyze. So, Fujitsu, and I'm pretty sure they are going to have big Oracle practice. In general, they are going to be either Oracle or SAP shop, and I don't know how strong they are, but in their case, they are using Oracle for this as well. Oracle Cloud HCM also helped Fujitsu develop a common language landscape to communicate and share information with corporate management and employees using Oracle Cloud HCM's data, compensation, and performance management modules. Fujitsu managers who often work across multiple countries, Oracle Cloud ERP HCM provided them with a consistent experience to interact with HR that we saw with the other as well. So I don't have anything else there that I can hit on. Yeah, I don't have anything else, except that it's a consulting firm, and fairly large consulting firm. They are using this. One more.
Would you know which consulting firm this would be?
Sorry, what's that?
Which consulting firm this would be?
This one, this particular one, the one that you have right now. So this is GT. Okay. This is your Grant Thornton. So again, they are probably going to be selling Oracle as well. I don't know how large their practice is going to be, but they sell a lot of different ERP systems. So here in this particular case, they are saying using Oracle journeys, and also this journey product. I think this will. So Andy, to your question related to your Qualtrics is going to have all of these journeys, and Oracle acquired these capabilities as part of your ME platform. So they have something called ME. Mostly, it is probably going to be acquisition. That's how they got these capabilities, and they are probably using that, employees to take control of their individual experiences so that they can grow and thrive in their careers. And again, this is going to be slightly more employee journeys, the way you are going to have customer journeys for marketing automation. And they are talking about set the foundation for more informed DEI, and those initiatives are driven. So this is more HR perspective of DEI, but you are also going to have the DI perspective with your supply chain. That's a very different perspective in general. And then you have ESG as well. So they are overlapping all of that. Some more interesting pieces of functionality: control the audience, content, and timing of every message without relying on other teams. Send targeted communications based on employee attributes managed in Oracle Cloud.
What does the previous sentence mean? Control the audience, content, and timing of every message without relying on other teams. So what does that mean?
So this is going to be targeted content that you are sending to employee to train them. So for example, let's say if you're going to have sales team and you need the timely content, or let's say if you are going to be in the medical device space, and for example, let's say you are going to have regulations that, okay, you cannot sell a particular device in Europe because you are not certified there, and you cannot have collateral exposed there. So you are going to have a lot of different business rules across geography to make sure that people have access to controlled content, I guess. Yeah. Um, drive behavior. So here, send targeted communication based on employee attributes. And again, the employee attributes are going to be very different than your product attributes, the kind of attributes that you're going to find in your ERP systems. Track and analyze who reads, responds to, and act on communications. Again, that's a very HR centric workflow. So this is all part of your communicate sort of bucket. Then you have direct listening. This is where your Qualtrics is going to be handy from SAP perspective. Before Qualtrics, I don't think SAP could compete with Oracle, because Oracle was doing a lot more from the journey perspective. So that's why they had acquired Qualtrics product, I guess, from a lot of different perspectives. But SuccessFactors is where, their major interlocking is overall from the product alignment perspective. Yeah, so it's all part of the employee engagement, and the enterprises are going to have very, very, very different problems that most SMBs are probably not going to have. But this is definitely this falls under HR. When they are going to be hired, they are tasked with these activities, and they have to make sure that the employees are going to be engaged, retained, and that's why they have to implement all of this. Some more comments. One more case study here, and this is the Hearst implementation of Oracle Cloud. And here also you have roughly 20,000 employees. So that's the kind of magnitude that we are talking about. Hearst reduced its number of job codes from 7,000 to 1,700.
25%, eh?
Yeah. Do you remember what Hearst was, Andy, by any chance?
No,
Hearst,
but we'll look it up while we're chit-chatting here.
I don't want to overquote myself. I was thinking either medical device or what is that? Or professional services or construction.
A clinic?
Clinic? Yeah, that would be my guess.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But I mean, they have the job codes as well. So the job codes, and I don't know, what they are doing from those job codes perspective. But this is very interesting. And for the most part, I think this is probably going to be for clinicians. And again, that's a very different process. The job codes are going to be relevant from the construction perspective as well, but healthcare is a very different space in general. And here they are talking about Oracle's financial applications helped Hearst improve planning and budgeting by replacing 6 discrete software tools. And when they say discrete, meaning siloed, is what they mean here. Using the micro-learning capabilities within Oracle Cloud LMS. So they have used LMS and they seem to be okay with that. So seems like they are happy, which is very interesting. Andy, I don't know how many comments you're going to have. One more slide or comments?
Not too many.
Okay.
It's are we done?
Do you want to do one more slide or comments? You tell me.
One more slide would be fine.
One more slide. Okay. So here, I guess this is also one more case study. This is also, NI is the company, and I don't know what NI does. NI is HR system infrastructure for test equipment and virtual instrumentation software. So they seem to be more into the control instrumentation space, I guess. That's how I would read.
Medical device?
Sort of. But this is going to be electronics instruments for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Business and gained the ability to add new functionality more efficiently to support business growth. Again, they are happy with it. Created a single system of record for all HR data globally and integrated the platform with EBS and third-party payroll system. So they are using third-party payroll system in this particular case. Not many companies are really going to use payroll from Oracle or SAP. Then they will empower NI staff to manage referrals similar to the way sales team manages new business leads. And when you are going to have talent problem, you need to maintain your referral. They are going to have their compensation, the whole journey, engagement. There's a lot that goes in your employee referral as well, depending upon how big you are, how thick your HR organization is. Will give employee greater visibility into new opportunities within the company. Again, the whole career transition inside the company could be very big as well. You are going to have things such as marketplace that you are going to find with platforms such as your P2P. So, but this marketplace is very different. Here you are shopping for jobs, not necessarily for services. So again, very different, perspective, but the capabilities are going to be very similar. So Andy, I'll stop there. I'll open up for any comments.
Well, I mean, this, it's obvious. I mean, Oracle is a big player in the industry regardless, but this HCM product looks like it pretty much, it gives the tools for possibly like an architect of the HR process or the HCM process in some very large organizations.
Yeah. Could not agree more. I mean, you are probably going to hire one of those if you are implementing something like this.
No question. You have to have like, I don't know what the title would be, CHO or
CHRO, but I mean, they are not going to have the expertise to be able to architect the process, but they are going to be the ones who are going to be signing the budget, oversee that. They are going to be sponsors, but they need to hire a company.
Well, what example? I think it's like 26 hospitals. Like, talk about dynamic.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Oh,
it's a lot. Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right. Any more comments, Andy?
Nope.
Awesome. So guys, that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another vendor or the solution. On that note, thanks everyone for tuning in today.
Thanks, Sam. All the best.
Thanks, Andy.